Alright, hi friends! Coming at you today with an astrology report about this new moon happening in Sagittarius. This will be happening really tomorrow around 3 in the morning from Burlington, Vermont. And yeah, so I wanted to get this done today because we're finally entering a bit of lightness. It makes me literally want to cry thinking about how intense of a past few months it has been, and looking at what we've got coming up. We've got quite a lovely, really light and beautiful things coming our way. So today I'm going to talk primarily about this new moon in Sagittarius and the different aspects that are going on with that, which involve Mars and Neptune conjunct, almost exactly conjunct at 13 degrees of Pisces, which is in a square to this sun and moon for the new moon. And then Mercury goes direct today, so that's gonna be, we're gonna be, the only planet that's going to be retrograde for a bit is going to be Uranus. So this is going to be just like this really awesome, there's a lot of momentum and forward motion, and I'm going to talk a bit about, with that Mercury retrograde, maybe what has been coming up in the last few, there's been a really hard, this last week was really intense and really hard, so a little bit about that. And then we've still got this face off with Venus and Uranus. And yeah, all sorts of really beautiful stuff. And also today is a grand water trine with the north node of the moon in Cancer, Mercury in Scorpio, and Chiron in Pisces as well. So that's a lot of astrology. And I'm gonna talk a bit about what all of that means. So, but first, as always, if anybody is interested in learning more about their own birth chart and how this might be impacting or affecting you on a personal level, I do birth chart readings, so definitely feel free to reach out and set something up and we can get into it. Okay, so this has been we've been in this just really intense kind of transitionary time, moving out of this very elongated and dramatic Scorpio season that we had with the Venus retrograde that happened in Scorpio, and moving into this very triumphant Sagittarius time. So we had that Venus retrograde happen in Scorpio. We had Jupiter in Scorpio for the whole last year, and we had sort of a pile-up. So over the last month and a half, there's just been a lot of intense stuff coming up, as I've been talking about, coming up in relationships and with money and with values, and just sort of deep, intense kind of personal shadows really getting stirred up. And so really potent time for healing work, but very, very intense, cutting really deep, getting to the roots of traumas and trigger points. And so as Mercury and the Sun and Jupiter moved out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius, we sort of had this Jupiter now moving into its home sign, Sagittarius being its home sign. We move out of this intense introspection into this space of lightness and hope and joy, and sort of looking towards the future and holding space of everything that was learned with the Scorpio stuff, but really opening up for what's coming. So we had that going on at the same time that Venus kind of dipped back out of Scorpio during its retrograde into Libra. So it's been in its home sign of Libra for a little bit. And let's see, just on the 3rd, so yeah, 3 days ago or so, before that, the day before that, Mercury had been going direct, and then the day Venus went direct in Libra, Mercury went retrograde. So it's kind of just okay, we thought we maybe were in the clear and things were good, feeling light, feeling nice, feeling fun. Maybe we were escaping some of the trying to like not deal with or look at some of the heavier stuff and just partying, letting loose, getting out there. That's all kind of potential Sagittarius things. And so, but then we had Mercury retrograde dip back into Scorpio, and then Venus direct coming back into Scorpio, out of Libra into Scorpio, Mercury out back from Sagittarius into Scorpio. So boom, this last weekend was super intense, kind of like stirring up whatever we'd been working on over the previous month and a half. And yeah, really, really intense, really potent, and I don't know, I lost my mind, so hope everyone has made it through. It was almost like, how is this happening? How is this keeping going right now? And so I think today, Mercury goes direct in Scorpio, and so though Venus is going to be moving through there for about a month still, kind of like back through the area that it went retrograde, and it's getting stronger and it's gaining momentum, and Mercury again ruling communication. Like, so with Mercury retrograde, there's so much like miscommunication or misreading of signals or signs or information, or misunderstanding each other. Just kind of like the logistical components of communication, like breaking down a little bit, and feeling like maybe there's like a wall up, or like anyone who does chakra stuff, like throat chakra, took a beating. Yeah, with that Mercury retrograde dipping back into Scorpio, super intense around just like speaking our truth. And so now that the two of them are now moving forward, Venus gaining momentum in Scorpio, getting stronger, able to move back through this murkier stuff with clarity and insight, and Mercury, yeah, only spending a few more days in Sagittarius in Scorpio before it comes back into Sagittarius. So that's kind of like some of the backdrop of what we've been experiencing and what's been going on. And meanwhile, we have all of this like watery stuff going on with Scorpio, and then with Mars having moved into Pisces. It's sort of like dealing with conflict, actually addressing things head on. Maybe there being a lot of challenge around that and wanting to kind of like escape or not look at it. But the more the higher aspects of Pisces are really intuitive and really spiritual. And so this is just this time of like leaning into intuition and spirituality, and letting go of some of the rigidity of planning and structure, and just being really generally just like being open and hopeful and optimistic about what's coming, Sagittarius energy. So yeah, with Mars moving through Pisces, and then Mars today conjunct Neptune. Neptune rules Pisces. Wherever we find Neptune, we find this ability to connect to the intuitive. So I've said this a bunch of times. Pisces to me is kind of like the reminder. It's the end of the spectrum that reminds us that we are both physical beings in the third dimension, and we're holograms at the same exact time. And Pisces is this reminder of like, we are infinite, we are all one, we are, this kind of, obviously the paradox of living is holding space for both of those things. But so Mars, which is our planet of action, it's our planet of manifestation, planet of anger, conflict, drive, motivation, in Pisces is kind of like, it's like its compass kind of is now nothing kind of concrete or physical, but it's really like a spiritual and intuitive kind of finding our motivation for why we're moving about the way that we are, in this like, way softer and kind of, they're like curiosity and imagination are big parts of this. So with Mars on Neptune, it's like, if we've been doing this work around kind of like releasing and surrendering into these, and then with the North Node of the Moon in Cancer for the whole 18 months, we're sort of collectively being called to really become our own, create our own emotional stability and security for ourselves, and like open up raw vulnerability. And those are in, that's just like, we've got that grand trine going on too that I'll talk about. But Mars on Neptune is like, if we are doing creative projects or taking our energy and trying to manifest creative things, this is a really cool moment to like get a little oomph in that space that typically Pisces, space that can be just way more dreamy and kind of, but there can also be confusion, there's still maybe this like lingering haze around like, what do I do? How do I act? There, Pisces and Neptune can be illusions or like stories that we make up in this kind of this like, can be murky and less Scorpio's more murky, like heavy, where Pisces is more kind of like fog, like cloudy. There can be kind of this feeling of like uncertainty of like where to act or what to do right now. And with that Saturn moving through Capricorn, this whole year is kind of about like, how do we find our personal power to take the things that we're working on and apply them to build concrete things in real life. So this is a time, though, I don't think of like really making any enormous decisions or directing our energy in any way that is that feels rigid or kind of like locked or constrained. Like if you're feeling locked or rigid or constrained, this is like a time to be trying to figure out how to introduce more mobility and freedom into your life. So we've got that Mars and Neptune over there at 13 degrees of Pisces, and so they're in a square over to, now we'll get to 12 minutes in, talking about the new moon. So this is new moons are a really fertile time for setting intentions, making wishes, planting seeds of what we want to bring into our lives and what we want to manifest. And so there's going to be a lot of really positive and flowing aspects over the next month and a half, and it really definitely is going to like lighten up, and it's just an awesome time to set wishes, make wishes, set intentions that use Sagittarius is faith, so it's trusting even when we don't have any concrete markers or anything. It's just seeing faith that we have a purpose here, that there's this Sagittarius is higher purpose, higher reason. And so where existential doom, is kind of like the theme of this whole Venus retrograde, and like in relationships just really heavy and murky and like intense raw stuff, this is now this like bursting. And now with the Mercury moving direct and all of these planets, all the personal planets moving direct for the first time since like June, we can hopefully be starting to sort of like build some momentum. And so it's just a really potent time to set intentions around optimism, joy, playfulness, expansion and growth, travel. It's this time of like integrating and incorporating all of the things that we learned during this intense Scorpio season and intense Scorpio year, with the Jupiter moving through there and starting to kind of like bring it in. So while that Neptune-Mars conjunction is not, it's not really an awesome time to be taking making any big decisions or moves that aren't really kind of just like flowy at this time, it's a really awesome time to tap into our imaginations, tap into our intuitions, tap into these less rigid ways of thinking and acting, and sort of lay out what we want to be experiencing in our lives and how we want our relationships and projects and all of these things to feel. So, and then obviously Jupiter's only like 9 degrees off of this new moon in its home sign. So this is just very amplified and grand and triumphant kind of energy that we have to work with here. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and probably the last thing I'll get into right now, is we've got this really beautiful, intense grand trine with the Mercury at 27 degrees of Scorpio, north node of the moon in Cancer, 27 degrees, and Chiron, the wounded healer, at 27 degrees of Pisces. So this is just like a day, if there's something we've been needing to say, something we've been needing to address or name, or there hopefully will just be some clarity today, and especially if it's around these wounds that maybe have come up and emotional vulnerability that has come up over the last month. And Scorpio gives us like the confidence and the strength and the power. Scorpio is like powerful, dark, feminine energy to like step up and say what we need to say. Name what our needs are. You know, this wounding is reframing and re-understanding how we engage with and work with our wounds, understanding our wounds as our, you know, most potent source of healing power, both for ourselves and for our communities. And yeah, not being afraid to like look at some of those wounds, and by naming them, you know, using our voice, Mercury, using our voice that has now gone through, Mercury went through Scorpio, it was, you know, maybe tried to pretend things were okay, went back in, and now, you know, there's clarity, hopefully. And so yeah, hopefully we're able to name things. And so Mercury being in this grand trine on the day of the new moon signifies that our voices, our words, what we write down, what we say, what we communicate to other people about our desires and our hopes, will hold a lot of really important and potent power. So that's really exciting. So I'm gonna, I haven't done this yet in a video, but I'm gonna pull a few cards about this new moon and just kind of see what comes up for us here around making these wishes for hope and joy and lightness. Just a little lightness would be awesome. All right. Wow, okay. So what we've got today are, this is the Ace of Cups. This is just like really juicy, abundant, emotional energy. This is all, so we have the Ace of Cups, the Five of Cups, not so juicy. I'll get into that in a sec. And the Lover's card. Very special. So yeah, we might be, you know, I'm looking at sort of these two, the Ace of Cups and the Five of Cups, as both like this sort of fresh, and the aces of each suit being sort of like this initiating energy, cups being emotion. And so this kind of like newness, there might be like excitement around starting a new relationship, starting a new project. It's kind of like but this Five of Cups is like, there's still some stuff to work on and process. So it's important. I think this is a reminder that, you know, with that Mars on Neptune, that we're not like running away, and with this Venus moving back through Scorpio again, that, you know, stuff might keep coming up that had come up, but we're not going, it's not going to go back anymore. It's now this building momentum forward. And the Lovers, this is just like showing up for each other. It's compromise, it's giving and receiving of love, and that can only happen right when like everyone's ready, everyone's showing up and feeling emotionally full and safe themselves. So I think this Five of Cups again is just this like reminder of that people are raw right now and still really vulnerable, and an important time to, yeah, just be gentle with ourselves. I think a big thing that's been coming up for me is this like this kind of like in trying to call in like restorative energy. So this can be a gentle time. We're not gonna like take any massive leaps anywhere right now, but just sort of like plant seeds of for hope and lightness and play. It's an awesome time to just like play and do silly things that aren't part of a master plan. Mars in Pisces is like not not necessarily gonna be able to accomplish master plans. Our best approach with all of this is yeah, just trusting and having faith that this is all, things are all unfolding. We're part of something way bigger. Yeah. So thank you all who tune in. And again, if anybody wants to get a personal reading done at any point, please reach out. And so much love to everybody. Hopefully everyone's doing some gentle healing. And see you soon. All right.